The darkness came first. Massive alien ships, each one larger than entire cities, blocked out the morning sun across Earth, in Seoul. Admiral J stood frozen at his command desk, watching the impossible sight through the reinforced windows. The ships hung in the air like black mountains, completely silent, completely still. "Admiral," his communications officer called out, voice shaking, "we're receiving a transmission. It's in Korean, sir. Perfect Korean." The message played. Across every screen, every radio, every device on Earth, at exactly the same moment. The voice was calm, almost polite, but the words sent ice through every human heart. "People of Earth, you have 72 hours to surrender unconditionally to the hegemony. Your weapons cannot harm us, your armies cannot fight us. Submit now, and we will integrate you peacefully into our empire. Fuse, and we will pacify your world by force." Admiral J had served in the military for 30 years. He had seen wars, disasters, and human suffering. But nothing had prepared him for this moment. His hands shook as he reached for the emergency phone that connected him directly to world leaders. Before he could dial, General Min crashed through the command center doors. Her usually perfect uniform was wrinkled, her face pale with shock. "Sir, the International Space Station is gone," she said, breathing hard. "Their weapons just ... erased it. No explosion, no debris. One second it was there, the next second it wasn't." Across the ocean, President Wu sat in an underground bunker beneath Washington, D.C., surrounded by his advisors. The same conversation was happening in every capital city on Earth. Military leaders spoke in hushed voices about impossible odds. Scientists talked about technology that seemed like magic. Politicians argued about surrender terms. "How many ships are there?" President Wu asked his intelligence chief. "Over major cities? 47 ships, sir. But our satellites show more in orbit. Hundreds more, maybe thousands." The president rubbed his tired eyes. "And their demands? Complete surrender? No conditions. No negotiations. They want every government to formally submit within 72 hours. Young Lieutenant Han sat at his monitoring station in Seoul, listening to communications from around the world. Government leaders were panicking. Some already talked about surrender. Others demanded hopeless military strikes against the alien ships. But Han noticed something strange happening on the civilian networks. Admiral Han called out, adjusting his headphones. "Sir, you need to hear this." He switched the speakers. 2. A frequency used by universities and research centers. Instead of panic, Han heard excited voices sharing data and theories. The crashed scout ship in New Mexico shows signs of quantum field manipulation, one scientist was saying. "If we can understand their power source?" Tokyo University has 3 pieces of whole material, another voice added. "The metal seems to respond to electromagnetic fields. We're sharing all data immediately." Admiral J frowned. "They're studying the alien technology?" "Yes, sir. Universities, engineering firms, even high school science clubs. They're treating this like a puzzle to solve, instead of a reason to give up." General Min pulled up more civilian communications on her tablet. "Look at this, sir. Farmers in rural areas are already moving their equipment underground. Factory workers are asking how to modify their machinery for combat. Parents are teaching their children to build radios from spare parts." The pattern was the same everywhere. While governments debated surrender, ordinary humans were preparing to fight. They shared information freely across all borders. Korean engineers worked with American students. European scientists collaborated with African inventors. The Internet, which the hegemony had studied as a sign of human chaos, became humanity's greatest weapon. In the alien flagship hovering over Earth, Hegemony Commander Vexdai reviewed his species research on humanity. Every conquered race had followed the same pattern when faced with overwhelming force. First shock, then fear, then desperate attempts at negotiation, and finally surrender. The hegemony had perfected this process over thousands of years. "Commander," his intelligence officer reported, "the human governments are responding as predicted. Several nations are already drafting surrender documents." "Excellent," Vexdai replied. Any signs of military resistance? Minimal, sir. Their weapons are primitive, however. The officer paused, checking his data again. We are detecting unusual activity in non-governmental sectors. Explain. Civilian populations are not behaving according to our models, sir. Instead of panic and despair, they appear to be studying our technology. They are sharing information and resources at an unprecedented rate. Vextai dismissed this with a wave. Irrelevant. Civilian populations cannot threaten military forces. Continue monitoring government responses. But down on Earth, something unprecedented was happening. In garages and university labs, in basement workshops and internet forums, humans were doing what they did best. They were learning, adapting, and sharing knowledge at a speed that amazed even themselves. Dr. Ree at Seoul National University had already begun analyzing fragments from a downed alien scout ship. Her team worked around the clock, sharing their findings with researchers worldwide every few hours. Her technology operates on principles we understand, she told her exhausted team. It's more advanced, yes, but not impossible to comprehend. And more importantly, it's not perfect. The 72-hour countdown continued. The hegemony waited confidently for Earth's surrender, just as they had waited for thousands of other worlds. They had never encountered a species that treated invasion as an educational opportunity. They were about to discover that humans were unlike anything the galaxy had ever produced. The moment came at exactly midnight. Greenwich Mean Time. Every radio station, every television channel, every internet stream on Earth broadcast the same 2-minute message. President Wu spoke for all humanity with simple, clear words. To the hegemony fleet, we give you our answer. No. Earth will not surrender. We will not submit. We will fight. The response was immediate. Energy beams lanced down from the alien ships, striking military bases across the globe. The Pentagon disappeared in a flash of blue light. Air Force bases in 6 countries were reduced to smoking craters. Naval fleets found themselves burning on the surface of the world's oceans, but the hegemony made their first mistake. They attacked only the obvious military targets, following the same strategy that had worked on every other world. They didn't understand that on Earth the real strength wasn't in the Army's captain. Bo strapped herself into her fighter jet as alarms screamed across the Seoul Air Base. Half the runway was gone, destroyed by alien fire. But the underground hangars were intact, and her squadron was ready. Listen up, she told her pilots over the radio. Their ships are faster than ours. Their weapons are stronger. Their shields are better, so we're not going to fight them like they expect. She led 12 fighter jets into the morning sky, knowing they were flying towards certain death. The alien interceptors that came to meet them looked like silver needles, moving with impossible grace and speed. The first human jet exploded within seconds. Then the second. Bo watched her friends die and felt rage burn in her chest, but she also felt something else, understanding. They're fighting like a textbook, she said over the radio. Perfect formation. Perfect spacing. They do everything by the rules. Bo broke every rule she had ever learned. She dove her jet toward the ground, using the mountain ranges to break the aliens' targeting systems. She flew through clouds, using the weather to hide. When one alien fighter followed her too closely, she led it straight through the debris field of a destroyed satellite. They don't know how to improvise, she told her remaining pilots. Use the environment. Use everything. Pilots began fighting like humans instead of soldiers. They flew through city buildings, forcing the aliens to choose between destroying their targets or destroying human civilians. They used abandoned aircraft as decoys, even flew backwards, doing things their own training manuals said were impossible. The alien pilots couldn't adapt. They'd been programmed for clean, efficient combat. Human chaos confused their perfectly logical minds. Meanwhile, 300 feet underground, engineer DA worked by candlelight in a converted subway tunnel. The power grid was down, but human determination was not. Hand me that soldering iron, she said to Yi, the young military technician, who had become her partner in the most important work on Earth. On the table between them lay pieces of an alien power core. Recovered from a crashed scout ship. Da had. Been working on it for 18 hours straight, running on coffee and stubbornness. This doesn't make sense, he said, studying the alien metal. How can it generate so much power from such a small device? It does make sense, Da replied, connecting a human battery to the alien circuits. Just not the way we would do it. Look, they built everything for maximum efficiency. No waste. No backup systems. No room for error. She pointed to the glowing core with her screwdriver. That's their weakness. Human engineering is messy, redundant, and full of backup plans. Theirs is perfect, which means it's also fragile. You watched as DA carefully modified the alien device with parts salvaged from human electronics. She used duct tape, copper wire, and components from old radios to bridge the gap between alien perfection and human creativity. If I'm right, DA said, making the final connection, we can make their own power cores work against them. The device hummed to life, but not the way it was designed to. Instead of powering shields, it generated an electromagnetic pulse that would overload any alien system within 50 meters. Above ground, Captain Bo was still alive, still fighting. Her squadron of 12 had been reduced to 4, but they had accomplished something impossible. They had shot down 6 alien interceptors using nothing but human stubbornness and creativity. How are they doing this? Commander Vextai demanded from his flagship. Their technology is centuries behind ours. His tactical officer studied the combat data with growing confusion. Sir, they're not fighting according to any known military doctrine. They use their environment as a weapon. They sacrifice mechanical efficiency for unpredictability. Their tactics appear to be completely insane. But are they effective? The officer checked his casualty reports. Yes, sir. Surprisingly effective. In bunkers and basements across Earth, teams like Da and Yi were making similar breakthroughs. They couldn't match alien technology, but they could understand it, modify it, and turn it against its creators. The war that was supposed to end in days was just beginning. And the hegemony was learning that humans had a very different idea of what victory looked like. 3 years had passed since the first alien ships appeared over Earth. The world had become something unrecognizable. New York lay in ruins, its skyscrapers serving as alien command posts. London's streets were patrolled by mechanical soldiers. Tokyo's harbor hosted alien supply ships that came and went like clockwork. But between these conquered cities, something extraordinary was happening. The Earth itself had become humanity's weapon. Commander Mi crouched in a cave system carved deep into the Rocky Mountains, studying holographic maps that floated in the air before her. The maps showed alien patrol routes, supply schedules, and weak points in their defenses. But these weren't human maps anymore. They were created using captured alien technology, modified and improved by human minds. The transport convoy will pass through the Colorado Valley in 6 hours, she told her team of fighters. Same route they've used for 8 months. Same timing, same escort pattern. Her lieutenant, a former grocery store manager named K.O., shook. His head, don't they ever learn? They've hit that convoy route 12 times. That's exactly why we'll hit it again, Mi replied. They can't change their patterns. Their entire military system is built on efficiency and predictability. Changing tactics requires approval from their high command, which takes weeks. Mi had learned this lesson the hard way. 3 years of fighting had taught humanity that the aliens' greatest strength was also their greatest weakness. They never adapted quickly to new situations. A small voice spoke up from the corner of the cave. Commander, their shields will be recalibrated tonight. Everyone turned to look at Jin, a boy who appeared to be about 8 years old, but Jin had been born during the war. In the underground tunnels beneath Seoul, he had never seen the surface world before the aliens came. To him, this was normal life. Jin sat cross-legged on the cave floor, his small hands moving across an alien control panel that would have taken human engineers months to understand. The device responded to his touch like it was built for him. Do you know that, Jin? Mi asked gently. I can feel it, the boy replied, not looking up from the glowing panel. Their machines think in patterns. They follow schedules. Tonight at local midnight, all shields reset to standard parameters. Mi exchanged glances with her team. Jin wasn't the only child like this. across the world. Children born during the occupation showed abilities that amazed their parents. They could interface with alien technology as easily as playing with toys. They understood alien patterns of thought without any training. The machine speaks to you, Ko asked, clearly uncomfortable. Jin finally looked up, his young face serious beyond his years. Not speaks. It's more like thinking together. The aliens made their machines to work with their minds. But human children's minds are more flexible, can think like them, but they can't think like us. In a hidden classroom 50 miles away, former teacher A stood before 30 students, ranging in age from 10 to 60. Her lesson today was advanced alien metallurgy, combined with human improvisation techniques. Remember, she told her class, the hegemony builds everything to last forever. Every component is perfect, tested, and standardized. But that means they can't adapt when we change the rules. She held up a weapon that looked like nothing either human or alien engineers had ever designed. It combined alien energy cells with human targeting systems wrapped in armor plating made from melted alien hull material. This rifle shouldn't work, A explained. Alien power systems aren't designed to work with human electronics, but we've learned to force them to cooperate. The result is a weapon that's more powerful than anything either species could build alone. One of her older students, a former construction worker named Du, raised his hand. Teacher, how do we keep building these without factories? Smiled. Because every human settlement has become a factory. Every family has become a research team. Every child has become an engineer. We're not just fighting for survival anymore. We're evolving into something the galaxy has never seen. High above Earth, in the command ship that orbited the planet like a mechanical moon, Fleet Admiral Zekmar stared at reports that made no sense. Explain this to me again, he demanded of his intelligence officer. Our supply convoy was attacked. Again, the humans used weapons that shouldn't exist. Our scanners show human energy signatures combined with our own technology, but the power output exceeds both specifications. How is that possible? We don't know, sir. They appear to be creating hybrid technologies by combining our systems. With their own in ways that violate basic engineering principles, Zekmar pulled up a display showing human territory. The map was mostly red, indicating hegemony control. But the red areas were only the major cities. Between them, vast green zones showed active human resistance. They control no major population centers, he muttered. No manufacturing facilities, no resource extraction points. How are they still fighting? His officer hesitated before answering. Sir, our analysis suggests they've turned their entire population into a distributed military force. Every human settlement functions as a weapons factory, training center, and research facility simultaneously. The Admiral felt something he had never experienced in 200 years of conquest: uncertainty on Earth below. Commander Mi smiled as she watched alien transport ships explode in the distance. The war was far from over, but humanity was no longer just surviving. They were winning. The silence was the most terrifying sound Admiral Zekmar had ever heard. For 3 years, his command ship had hummed with constant activity. Thousands of communication channels carried reports from across Earth. Automated systems provided updates every few seconds. The steady flow of data from hegemony installations planet-wide created a symphony of controlled conquest. Then, at exactly 1432 Earth Standard Time, everything stopped. Sir, his communications officer called out, voice tight with panic. Showing no contact with any ground installations. Communications malfunction, Zekmar replied automatically. Switch to backup channels. I've tried all backup systems. Primary channels, secondary networks, even the emergency frequencies. Nothing. It's like every piece of our equipment on Earth just ... stopped working. Mar moved to his command console and activated his personal override codes. These were supposed to work on any hegemony device anywhere in the galaxy. The screen remained black. How many installations have gone dark? He asked. All of them, sir. every single base, outpost, and communication relay on the planet. Even our orbital stations have lost contact with ground forces. Down on Earth, in a recaptured bunker beneath Sol, General Na watched numbers scroll across dozens of screens. Each number represented a successful infiltration of alien systems. Each green light meant another hegemony installation had been cut off from their network. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Ben reported, "we've achieved full network replacement in all target zones. Aliens' own equipment is now reporting to us instead of them." Na nodded, her face calm despite the magnitude of what they had just accomplished. "Signal all resistance cells. Operation Prometheus is now active. Begin simultaneous liberation protocols." Across the globe, the message went out through communication networks that the hegemony had built themselves. But now, those networks belonged to humanity. In the mountains of Colorado, Commander Mi received the signal and smiled. "All units, move out. It's time to take our cities back." In underground London, Captain Lee checked his hybrid weapons one final time. The rifle in his hands combined alien energy technology with human targeting systems. It was more powerful than anything either species had ever built alone in the ruins of Tokyo. Engineer Cha activated devices that looked like alien technology but thought like human machines. They would turn the aliens' own defenses against them. Attacks began everywhere at once. It's not random strikes, but perfectly coordinated assaults that hit every hegemony position on Earth simultaneously. Human forces emerged from hiding places the aliens never knew existed, carrying weapons that shouldn't have been possible. But this wasn't the same desperate resistance that had fought for 3 years. These humans moved with precision and confidence. They knew exactly where to strike because they had been listening to alien communications for months. They knew exactly when to attack because they controlled the alien scheduling systems. "Sir, we're under attack," Stekmar's tactical officer shouted. "Multiple cities, multiple continents. They're hitting us everywhere at once." "Deploy our ground forces," Zekmar ordered. "Activate automated defenses, sir." "I can't. Our systems aren't responding. The ground installations aren't receiving orders." A gaze. Zekmar felt a cold fear settle in his chest. "What do you mean they're not responding? Every piece of equipment we've placed on Earth has stopped following our commands. The defense grids, the communication arrays, even the door locks in our installations. It's like they're working for the humans now." In a captured alien command center in New York, young Jin sat before a wall of alien screens, his small fingers dancing across controls that had taken hegemony engineers decades to design. To him, it was as simple as playing a game. "Are trying to regain control of the Manhattan defense grid," he reported to the human soldiers around him. "Can you stop them?" asked Captain. Jin's 8-year-old face showed the kind of confidence that came from never knowing a world without war. "I already did." Their security systems now think human soldiers are authorized users. But alien soldiers are classified as intruders. Across the city, hegemony troops found themselves locked out of their own bases, while human forces walked through doors that opened automatically for them. High above Earth, Admiral Zekmar watched his perfect conquest collapse in real time. Red warning lights covered every display in his command center. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Our technology is centuries ahead of theirs." His cybersecurity chief, a veteran of 100 campaigns, stammered as he read his reports. "Sir, they didn't break into our systems. They didn't hack our networks. They physically modified every piece of equipment we placed on Earth." "Modified how?" "Sir, our own scanners show that every hegemony device on the planet has been ... improved. They've added human components to our technology. The result is hybrid systems that are more advanced than anything we've ever built. But that's impossible. Our equipment is designed to reject foreign modifications." "Sir, that's what we thought. But human engineers have found ways to make our technology accept their improvements. They've essentially taught our machines to think like humans instead of like us." The liberation of Earth continued through the night. City after city fell to human forces who fought with weapons that combined the best of two civilizations. The hegemony found themselves fighting an enemy that knew their every move before they made it. For the first time in their species' history, the hegemony was losing a war. The last alien ship disappeared beyond Pluto on a Tuesday morning. Captain Jun watched from the command bridge of humanity's newest starship as the enemy vessel's energy signature faded from their sensors. 3 years of war were finally over. "They're gone," reported Lieutenant Park, monitoring the outer solar system. "All hegemony forces have withdrawn beyond our detection range." Jen nodded, but his expression remained serious. "Keep scanning. We need to know if they're regrouping or truly retreating." Down on Earth, the celebration had already begun. But in the halls of the newly built Earth Defense Council, the mood was focused and determined. Ambassador Yoon stood before representatives from every nation on the planet, as well as delegates from the new human colonies on Mars and the asteroid belt. The hegemony came to Earth, expecting us to surrender or die, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. Instead, they taught us the most valuable lesson in our species' history. They showed us that the galaxy belongs to those strong enough to claim it. She gestured to the holographic display that showed Earth's solar system, where once there had been only one inhabited world. Dozens of stations and colonies sparkled like jewels against the darkness. "The aliens thought they were conquering us," Yoon continued, "but they were actually forging us into something the universe has never seen before. They united our world, accelerated our technology by centuries, and gave us the tools we needed to reach the stars." In the orbital shipyards floating above Earth, Director Sue moved through construction bays that hummed with activity. The ships taking shape around her looked unlike anything ever built before. They combined the sleek efficiency of alien design with the chaotic creativity that made human engineering so effective. "How many vessels will be ready for the first fleet?" asked the reporter, following her through the construction area. "Ships in the first wave," Sue replied, stopping to watch workers install a new type of engine that merged human fusion technology with alien dimensional manipulation. Each one capable of faster-than-light travel. Each one armed with hybrid weapons that exceed anything the hegemony ever built. The reporter looked confused. "But I thought we were building these for defense." Sue smiled, the expression not entirely pleasant. "These aren't defensive vessels. The hegemony taught us that, in space, there's no difference between defense and offense. There are only the strong and the weak." She led the reporter to an observation deck where they could see the full scope of the construction project. Hundreds of ships, in various stages of completion, stretched out in all directions. Some were massive battleships, designed for fleet combat. Others were smaller, faster vessels built for exploration and reconnaissance. Every ship incorporates technology that the hegemony spent thousands of years developing, Sue explained. "But we've improved on their designs. We've made them more flexible, more adaptable, more human." Nearby, young engineer men worked on a control system that would have been impossible just 5 years earlier. She had been a high school student. When the aliens invaded, now she was designing starship computers that could think and adapt in ways that alien technology never could. "The aliens built everything to be perfect," Min explained to her team. "But perfect means unable to change. We build things to be good enough, then make them better as we learn." The computer core she was working on demonstrated this philosophy. It used alien quantum processing power, but ran software written by humans. The result was a system that could solve problems the original alien designers never imagined. 3 months after the liberation of Earth, Admiral Na stood in the communication center of the Solar Defense Command. Before her was a transmission array powerful enough to broadcast across half the galaxy. "Are we ready to send the message?" she asked the technician operating the equipment. "Yes, ma'am." "The signal will reach the edge of hegemony space in approximately 6 hours. Na activated the recording system. The message that would soon echo across the stars was simple, direct, and carried in every major galactic language that human computers had decoded from captured alien databases. "To the hegemony and all who would threaten human space, you came to Earth believing we would break under pressure. You were wrong. Pressure doesn't break humans. It forges us into something stronger. You taught us that the galaxy belongs to those willing to take it. Consider this your final lesson. Earth is just getting started." As the message broadcast into space, Captain Chen's exploration fleet prepared for its first mission beyond the STS solar system. The ships that had been built in Earth's orbital yards were ready to carry humanity to the stars. "All vessels report ready for departure," Jun announced to his fleet. "Our mission is to explore, to learn, and to ensure that no species ever again mistakes human kindness for human weakness." The fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying humans toward distant stars for the first time in their species' history. Behind them, Earth continued its transformation from a conquered world to the heart of something the galaxy had never seen. The hegemony had created their own worst enemy, and now that enemy was coming for them.